Hello and welcome to the final video in my Prep for Kili series, in which one I will cover the best approaches to maximize your chances of reaching the summit. Obviously subjective and based on my experience and what I saw for myself, but also other people that were on in my group. All of us made it, thankfully. It was a 13 out of 13, perfect score, but we all had a different experience. I have heard some people saying that they don't remember making it to the summit. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones that actually remembers everything and stayed awake most of the hike up to the summit and felt generally pretty good throughout the whole 7-day trek. Of course, if you don't count feeling so cold at nights and feeling shattered on the summit night. So here, quick bullet point suggestions on how to maximize your chances to make it to the top. Number one, pick the right route. And this is something you'll have to do before or whilst you're booking your trek. When I was booking with Alteza, I could see that there were different routes taking you to the summit, and they all differ in the approach to the summit, how that approach is staged in different days, and they also differ in the length of the whole trek. So my route, the Le Mocho route, was a 7-day trek. However, I think I might have mentioned this in one of the videos, I could have done a 6-day Le Mocho route. In a 6-day Le Mocho route, you go to, you walk past Shira 1 straight to Shira 2, and that's where you camp your first night. So you're kind of erasing the second day out of the 7-day trek. So you're getting to the top quicker. However, the route otherwise is the same, and it's very much, you start up at a quite high altitude from day one. That's where you're dropped off in a car, and you go like this. You acclimatize to what you will be expected to do for the summit day by going high up, but then you come down to sleep, and this is how your body is meant to be training to get you to that top. But as you can see, there are different options. The reason for that is to cater for people who may have different abilities and different levels of preparation. I chose Le Mocho route starting at a high altitude because that gives you, that is classed as one of the easiest ones because it gives you a lot of acclimatization chances. Because of that, starting at a high altitude, shorter days, shorter treks every day. If you had never done a high altitude hike or trek like I hadn't, that's the safest sort of approach. But knowing what I know now, that my body was fine, I would have chosen a different one because it would be more my style of hiking, going from point A to B, continuing up. I actually find it quite frustrating when I have to go like this. This is my point number one in preparation, because you'll have to do this as you're booking. You have to pick your route, your length, and they vary in prices as well. They vary in what they offer because some of them, as I mentioned in one of the previous videos, you sleep in huts. So there's no tents and the huts are shared. I think 4 people sharing a hut, but equally private toilets are not allowed on that route. So again, there's different characteristics of each route. Spend plenty of time of reading the itinerary and understanding what's involved, and make your choice wisely. Suggestion number 2, don't rush into it. I have heard stories of people who would go with a group of friends and they were recognized as the fittest one, and everyone said that person will not have any problems with reaching the summit, and they were the ones who struggled the most. It's not, as I covered in in a training video, it's not only about physical ability. What all the guides say, they say pole pole, which means slowly. When you're at high altitude, there's no point rushing. Your body is already working hard. So the type of hiker I am, I like going fast, stopping for a couple of minutes, then going fast again. That doesn't work on Kilimanjaro. At least it's not a safe approach. The best way is to take it slowly. It was against my hiking nature, but you know what? I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that we didn't have to rush. We knew that we are getting to the camp by the point we're meant to get to the camp. There's nothing else to do, nothing to rush for. And when it comes to the summit night, I don't think there's any rushing because it is dark and you're following a line. This is honestly almost a procession in a way. And you are within the capable hands of the guides. They're setting the pace, they're telling you when to stop, and they're there to look after you. So there's no racing to the summit, even though you might feel that would be the easiest thing to do. This naturally leads me to point 3, which is be honest with your guides. You will get to know them very well. For us, every day there was a different guide leading the pack, and then they rotated after, after everyone has done a shift. You have to tell them if you're uncomfortable, if something's going wrong, if you're feeling dizzy, out of breath, if you're feeling sick. And this is throughout the whole trek, as well as during the summit. It's in everyone's interest for everyone to make it to the top. No one will try and shoot you down just because you have an upset stomach. When I started going up the summit, I did not have a good stomach. Now, I was thinking about it for 7 hours, and I thought this is going to be very embarrassing and it is very uncomfortable already. It's really distracting me. And only after the adventure, I found out that someone got Imodium, because they also had an upset stomach. And I was kicking myself in a way that I could have requested. I could have just said to someone, I have a bad stomach, and they could have given me something to make me feel better, because I was threatening. I was thinking, how do I deal with this? I'm now part of a line going up a summit. I've seen different cases on the hike. Some people were really struggling with their breathing. They couldn't catch their breath even after a 10-minute break. But like I said, all of these people made it to the top because they communicated their ailments, their concerns with the guides. We had a medical every morning and every evening. So this was a time to speak about things that maybe were concerning us, that were maybe not on them in the moment, a real issue, but something that we might have been struggling with. So I was speaking, for example, about how cold I was at nights, and I requested to always have that second water bottle if that's possible, please. What also happens, the important part of the medicals, is they measure your oxygen levels in the blood. They put an oximeter on your finger, and within a form, they record the reading of the oximeter, see if it's going up and down. And I'm not sure of the exact number, but when your oxygen levels fall below a certain amount, then there will be some sort of an intervention, but it's not going to be taking you off the mountain as a first step, because they have oxygen tanks. And I also heard, I haven't seen, but I heard of that happening in my group, that someone was given a bit of oxygen, and this was actually after the summit, so it wasn't even to ensure that they make it to the top. So the care continues throughout the whole journey. Whilst they take your oxygen readings, they will also ask you how you feel, to rate it from 0 to 10, 10 being feeling great. If they see how that changes from morning to evening and from day to day, and they will ask you why you're scoring your how you're feeling less than yesterday or this morning. The other thing that was, you could tell that the guides were really paying attention, was that it was noticed when people weren't eating their meals. And this is point number 4. Eat your food. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor, I'm not a physician, not a nutritionist, nothing of that type. But I'm just drawing correlations here. And I noticed some people that had stopped eating after a few days, and this was a result, I believe, of the altitude sickness. They did not have appetite and they struggled eating because they just really didn't feel like it. Those were the people that then struggled going up the summit. Ultimately, you need the energy. I covered it in the food video earlier in the series, that your body is working out pretty much all the time. And again, just like I said in that video, I was lucky because I had the appetite. I love the food. It's easy to say, but I guess that's why I would go back to the snacks and having stuff in your taking stuff with you, food items that you know you really love, to maybe sometimes when you have to force yourself, at least force yourself eating foods that you know you enjoy. Number 5 is an ironic one. Keep yourself warm. And that's why I've given you all this advice, guys, especially the preparation of what to pack. If your body is warm, or at least if it's not freezing cold, then you're preserving your energy for other things. Pack your layers. Don't skip the layers when you're told to wear them. If you're starting to feel cold, protect the extremities. I would say don't save your layers for the summit day, because they're dedicated layers. You know, it goes back to the preparation of what you pack, to have more warm layers with you, because it will be probably colder than you expected. I guess it depends what time of year you go, but that's a September scenario. Also, when you are cold, don't think, oh, this is my summit day, I need to keep that for the summit day. Most of us really wore the same thing most days, or similar stuff, or you know, reuse stuff 2, 3, 4 times, because those were the conditions. And I knew what worked for me at nights, and I really wanted to use certain layers for sleeping, and it turned out that I just needed to put more in the things that were comfortable for me, like the zip-up fleece. That worked, that made me feel much better. I would recommend that you prep everything that you will need for the summit in advance before you go to sleep to rest. Pack your backpack, prep what water bottles you're taking or your camel flasks. And what I actually did in terms of clothes, I prepped the outer layers, the ski jacket and the ski pants. They were already there, and I actually put all the base layers on me, and that's what I slept in. And then everything was ready, and I actually kept some stuff with me in the sleeping bag, so it was warm when I started dressing after the 10 o'clock p.m. wake-up call. Everything was either ready to go or in hand or already on me. So once it was time to get up, I wasn't losing energy, time, and body heat. For me, that was the most important thing, not losing the body heat that I generated by sleeping. I mentioned this in the equipment video that I recommend that you take with you a set of headphones to listen to music, listen to an audiobook. And obviously, I didn't mention this in the equipment video, but I hope you have thought of taking a power bank with you, a powerful power bank, because as much as you might not be using your phone throughout the trip, because I didn't have any network, so you might have no connectivity. But there's other devices that need powered, so your headphones may need power, may need that extra power. I had a torchlight that was USB powered, so that could have been charged. So I took a brick of a power bank with me. So make sure all that is charged before you head up the mountain. Keep your power bank in your sleeping bag. This is something I wasn't aware of, but it kind of makes sense that batteries drain faster in the cold. And lastly, I would say just relax and try and enjoy it. So I know how I felt when I came up that hill, and I said, this was horrendous, I will never do this again. From the perspective of time, it was an incredible experience. And actually, all in all, I think what I struggled with most were the cold nights rather than the summit night itself, even though it is an extremely strenuous experience. There's ways that you can improve it, and it is an extremely memorable experience as well, with the photos and videos that we took between us. It's very emotional. It's something that we will never forget for sure. And you know what? It was a tough time, but it just passed. So think about that. That's what I was actually thinking about. I was thinking, there's no turning back. I mean, things would have to go really badly for me to turn around, or for the guides to agree to take me down, because they would want to see me make it to the top. Apart from thinking there's no other way to go, I was imagining what it's going to be like to make it to the top. I was saying it's all possible, but you know what? I think we'll do it. And how wonderful will it be to tell people the story, to be that one of those people who made it to the top, to have photos taken. So let that thought drive you. Well, that's all I have for you guys. But as always, I invite your own suggestions if you've done this and you have something that you would add. then let me know. I am still trying to reach that target, the fundraising target for our Scottish charity VSA, that helps the vulnerable members of our community fulfill their potential. So if you can support, it is tough times, but I believe that charity always comes back at you in a positive way. So if you can help and throw a few pounds into the pot and help me reach that fundraising target, the link is in the video description. I hope you've enjoyed these. I hope they helped you make up your decision. And if you do decide to do this, let me know as well. Until next time, until the next adventure. Mwah!